How highly will CJ Stroud and Sam Laporta be drafted in upcoming Dynasty mock drafts? We're talking about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Dynasty.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Matt Williamson and Ryan McDowell.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Today is Crossover Thursday, and this Crossover Thursday episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. I'm your host, Ryan McDowell. You can follow me on Twitter at RyanMC23. Joining me, as always, is former NFL scout Matt Williamson. Find Matt on Twitter at WilliamsonNFL. Matt, we had kind of a downer of a conversation yesterday. How bad Justin Fields has been, and how grim his future looks. We're going to talk about some positives today. We're going to have our week 3 rookie watch episode today, and a lot of these rookies are gaining value quickly, Matt. I mentioned also on yesterday's episode that we will have new October DLF Dynasty ADP very soon. And this is one of my favorite things about my job and my role at DLF is getting to collect that in-season ADP. Of course, really nobody else has that, at least as far as I know.
Right. Yeah.
And seeing how the player's value has changed is certainly interesting. We get some hard data for that. So I thought we'd talk about some of these rookies who have certainly gained value and kind of project how high they might climb in that new upcoming data. Let's start with the quarterback position, Matt. CJ Stroud, he's the quarterback 12 on the season, had a little bit of a slow week 1 to be expected. But the past couple weeks have been very impressive. He's got 2 quarterback 1 games, of course, 2 top 12 games as a fantasy scorer, those coming in the past 2 weeks. He's thrown for over 280 passing yards in those 2 weeks as well. Looking back at his September ADP, again, we've referenced this quite a bit over the last month. This is preseason ADP. He was the quarterback 16, and he was 137 overall in that single quarterback ADP. So what are your thoughts on Stroud so far? What do you expect from his future? And after that, we'll try to nail down what we think his October ADP might look like.
So this is a player I've done a ton of homework on because the Steelers are going to Houston this week. So I've been paying heavy attention to it. I've been in the air all week talking about the Texans. And boy, he's hard not to like. I mean, the first 2 weeks of the year, he got sacked 11 times and was under tons of pressure. And he still delivered. And go look at his numbers on third down. They're always in third and long. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And then this past week, I'm not sure what the Jags were doing last week, but the Jags didn't come to play.
Kidding.
But that's really, really disappointing on all sides.
Heads were in London already, maybe.
Yeah, right. But he carved them up, and I think he's got 3, including Robert Woods, very capable receivers. Mm-hmm. And he did all this despite only having 1 starting offensive lineman there. I mean, they have no running game. I'm sure they'd like to run the ball a little more. And unfortunately, Stroud's never going to be much of a runner. But he's a really, really good and accurate pocket plus passing quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. You mentioned really no running game to speak of. They signed Dalton Schultz to a nice contract this offseason. They haven't really gotten him involved yet. Yet all of this kind of going against CJ Stroud, and he
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He's producing no matter what. We talked about our experience at the Combine over the past couple of years, and I got to sit in on the media session for CJ Stroud, and it really stuck out to me. Somebody asked him about his accuracy or really what he views his strengths as a passer, and he said that he was a ball placement specialist. I know I've mentioned that on here, and that quote has kind of gone around because just like it stuck in my mind, it stuck with so many people, and I think he's showing that. I mean, he is making some on point passes and really, really impressive. Looking over at the ADP, let's talk about, we got our top tier 7 guys. We don't even have to say those names right now. He's not cracking any of those guys. And we talked Justin Fields yesterday. I think it's probably fair to assume CJ Stroud will be valued ahead of Justin Fields in that October ADP.
And along those lines, could he be the actual first Ohio State quarterback that makes it in the league? I thought Fields was going to be that guy.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Let me throw out some other names. This or that. CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson. And again, we're talking Dynasty ADP. Richardson, I agree. Deshaun Watson over Stroud. Okay.
He's making $62 million next year. He could be the worst quarterback on the planet. He's going to start.
Well, CJ Stroud's going to start next year too, right?
Well, that's true. I know. But Watson's not going away. That's not a slam dunk, though.
I think I want CJ Stroud at this point.
Okay.
Tua versus Stroud. Tua for me as well.
Yeah.
Dak.
I'm having a hard time quitting Dak, but I might need. Okay. I might realize I'm too high on him.
All right, we're in that low end QB1 range. What about another rookie, Bryce Young?
Definitely Stroud.
I agree. Then we get into Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, and then we've got
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, then we've got Stroud down there at 16. So if he jumps Daniel Jones, Geno, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott, and Justin Fields, he's moving up 5 spots at least. We're talking about Stroud as a quarterback 10, quarterback 11. We'll see what happens with Watson. Maybe that'll be close. Maybe Dak will be close. But certainly in that low end QB1 range. So it looks like CJ Stroud is going to be a QB1 in our Dynasty ADP coming up in October. Does that sound like about the right range for you at this point?
Yeah, when you mentioned the 5 ahead of him, Dak's the only one that I would go back and forth on. I'd rather have him than Young and all those guys. So over Jones, over Geno. So yeah, he's quarterback 11-ish.
Yeah, maybe Richardson moves up to 8. Maybe Tua moves up to 8. Honestly, 8 and 9, Richardson and Tua. So yeah, Stroud could be as high as 10 if he jumps Watson as well, which I think is definitely a possibility.
Yeah,
Matt, we're going to have this same conversation about Devon Achane, about Stroud's teammate Tank Dell, and about the tight end Sam Laporta, talking through what we've seen these first 3 weeks and how high those players can climb in our October ADP. We'll continue that conversation next.
So this next sponsor is very topical for me because my son is actually, it's homecoming weekend coming up here, and he's getting to the point now where he has to shave pretty regularly. And then, Dad, what do I do about shaving? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it just so happens we have a Harry's kit here that you can have as your first razor ever there, Sonny boy, and teach you how to do it. And you're on your own and you couldn't be in better hands. So no matter why you shave, Harry's has you covered for the best shave of your life at a price you'll love. That's one of the best parts about it. From their legendary high-quality razors to skin products like exfoliating face wash, hydrating lotion, Harry's gives you a premium shave without the premium price tag. So get better quality and a better price than other razors when you get Harry's delivered right to your door, which is great too. None of us have time to go out shopping. A smooth shave shouldn't be rough on your wallet. The starter set is a $13 value, and it's worth every penny of that. But you get it for $3 at harrys.com/NFL. That's 5-blade German engineered razors, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover. Scheduled delivery for refills for as low as $2, half of what you pay for other blades. They have other skincare products like creams and washes and lotions that'll keep your skin healthy and hydrated. Blades they make in their own factory in Germany that stay sharp. Guys who've tried it say their 8th shave is as sharp as their first, and I can promise you that's true. Sleek weighted handles that look great in your bathroom and give you precise control with each swipe. There's no reason not to try Harry's. So Get your best shave ever this summer with Harry's razors and skincare products. Get a $13 starter set for just $3 at harrys.com/NFL. That's harrys.com/NFL for a $3 starter set.
Matt, let's move on with our rookie conversation. Let's talk about Devon Achane, the RB6 in fantasy scoring right now through 3 weeks, which is really impressive when you consider that he's essentially only played 1 game so far. Of course, that was the 50-pointer that he put up last week. We talked a lot about Achane on Monday's episode. He has, of course, 1 RB1 game so far. He was the RB1 overall last week. Like I said, we talked a lot about him. I think just the 1 game of production, still somewhat of a crowded backfield there in Miami with Mostert and with Jeff Wilson likely coming back soon. It makes this one a little tougher to project the future, even projecting next month's ADP. But we're still talking about a player who's 21 years old. And I mean, even if you're looking at age alone, I mean, James Conner's ahead of him in our September ADP, and David Montgomery and, Khalil Herbert, Cam Akers. There's going to be some easy calls when we decide how far to move this guy up.
Yeah, so you and I are hosting 5 shows this week, and I feel like I say it every week, or every night, or every day that we record now, because this is true for the next player. Matt, you got to open your eyes to these really little dudes. Before they get in the league's different now. Tutu Atwell's doing well. I never saw that coming. So we're going to talk Tank Dell later. The guys are really shining. And yes, it's a crowded backfield, but Mostert gets hurt every year, and his style just sort of lends itself to that. Wilson's not a pillar of health either, and this guy's just different than them. So, like everyone, my eyes opened a lot this past weekend, but I don't think he could be in a better situation. I mean, he's in a tremendously schemed offense that gets players in space better than anyone out there, and all they care about is speed, and that's all this guy has is speed, which is perfect. So I'm in, man. Too late, but I'm in.
Yeah, same for me. Well, I mean, because of the success of Achane last week, of Tank Dell the past couple of weeks, we've had that conversation about the size, the frame, the build of some of these players. And I think both of us were ready to say, we messed up. We overlooked these guys because of that size alone, which is probably true. But you also have to, I think it's also important to remember Achane's being coached by Mike McDaniel here. He's in the ideal spot.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about Tutu Atwell, and I mean, it's taken a couple of years now, finally putting something together, but he's in a Sean McVay offense. You even think about Devontae Smith in that Philly offense. These are not necessarily players that would have hit on any team in the league. Like they landed in the exact right spot. And those coaches, McVay and McDaniel especially, are going to make the most of the players on their team and get the most out of them. So I'm not totally ready to ignore a player's size or height, weight, whatever it might be. But I think we do have to factor in the scheme, the offense that they're a part of.
No question. I think that's well said. Yeah.
Looking back in September, again, preseason ADP, Achane was the RB 34. I mean, without even saying some names here, Matt, what's your ballpark? Like let's move him up in chunks here. Where might he land in October ADP?
I would say at least 10 spots higher than that. Is that being conservative?
It's probably being conservative. So he was RB 34, RB 24 last month was Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders or Achane?
Achane.
Okay, let's move another.
20?
Yeah, 20 was Damian Pierce. 19, Joe Mixon. 18, Rashad White. 17, Javonte Williams. 16, Derrick Henry. you can.
I haven't chimed in yet. I mean,
I was going to say, you feel free to stop me.
Yeah.
15, J.K. Dobbins. We know the story there. 14,
right.
Najee Harris. How about that one?
Ugh.
Najee Harris or Achan?
I think Achan.
I think Achan as well.
These
I think
are all sad stories.
We hit maybe a different tier here at RB 13. That's Kenneth Walker. We expect him to be a riser as well. Travis Etienne is directly ahead of him. Another player that should increase his value, move up in that next ADP. And then we have Stevenson, Jacobs, Taylor, Chubb. Unfortunately, we know Chubb will be a faller. And then the top 7 guys: Pollard, Eckler, Hall, Barkley, Gibbs, McCaffrey, and Bijan.
So after Walker.
After Walker, maybe as high as RB 13, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Chubb's
in that
not
range.
in there anymore.
What about
that's crazy.
I didn't mention the name. He's currently RB 23. Where do you stand on Achan versus Zach Charbonnet?
That's funny. I was about to ask you that exact same question. Achan. But obviously Charbonnet's higher than 23 now too.
Yeah, I think Charbonnet will move up. Got off to a slow start, had a really nice game on Sunday, especially that hit. You see that? He sent that guy flying. That was impressive. His snap rate has increased each week. So I think they're easing him in. We know how Seattle likes to handle rookies. He'll be a factor before the season is over, in my opinion. We're looking at Devon Achan as high as maybe RB 12 or 13 come next month's ADP. Matt, let's go over to one of Stroud's teammates, start the conversation about Tank Dell. He's the wide receiver 13 in PPR fantasy scoring. He has already put together 2 top 24 fantasy games the past 2 weeks. He also played sparingly in week 1 and really has come on the past couple weeks and led the team in targets the past couple weeks as well. And really in week 3 led the team in everything: receptions, yards, targets, and scored a touchdown as well. We've already kind of said it. We both missed on Tank Dell. We overlooked him, which, all jokes aside, maybe easy to do, or at least it was easy to do in the preseason. He definitely had his fans, his believers out there. I was not one of them. I wish I was. I don't have Tank Dell on any of my teams right now.
Same, yeah. So again, I studied him like crazy this week too, much like Stroud.
Yeah.
And he does keep coming on. I'm sure a lot of people out there think, oh, he's just, a typical shorter slot type. No, Robert Woods is a slot. He's the outside guy. He runs legit wide receiver, full route tree at all levels. Demands a lot of targets, remarkable quickness. Unlike an Atwell, he's much better tackle breaker, better built than him. He's not a super, super skinny guy. He's short. He's very impressive. Now, I will say, I think Nico Collins is the better asset. I think Nico Collins, his production dropped a little since week 1, but I prefer, of the 2 receivers, I'd rather have Nico.
Okay. I think that's at least a conversation right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look over at September ADP. Of course, Tank Dell was very low, but honestly wasn't as low as I expected him to be. He was wide receiver 62, 135 overall. Let's move him up to wide receiver 40. That's DeAndre Hopkins. You want DeAndre Hopkins or Tank Dell at this point, Matt?
Not Hopkins.
Yeah. Wide receiver, I don't know if we can go much higher, honestly. You move to wide receiver 36, the end of the wide receiver 3 range. That's Christian Kirk. Kirk versus Tank Dell.
Dell.
Okay. Sounds like it's close, though.
Yeah, I'm a little down on Kirk at the moment.
Other players in that range include Treylon Burks, Quentin Johnston, several veterans: Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin.
Having good years, though. Some of those guys.
Yeah, most of those guys off to very good starts. I think that's probably the range we're looking at, somewhere either in that low end wide receiver 3 range, or maybe high end wide receiver 4. somewhere between, let's say, wide receiver 33 and wide receiver 40. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah. I mean, the youth, he was highly productive at college too. I mean, he wasn't just a big play specialist. I think that carries some weight.
What about some of the other rookie receivers? These guys were all ahead of him last month in ADP: Cedric Tillman, Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Jaden Reed, Jonathan Mingo, Marvin Mims. Do you expect Tank Dell to overtake all of those guys?
Yeah. I really like what Josh Downs has done too, but I take Dell over all those guys if we were drafting right now. Yeah.
I've been impressed with Downs. I've been impressed with Marvin Mims, both of those guys in somewhat limited roles, and Reed as well. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I might go with Tank Dell there as well. It is worth at least noting, considering that Tank Dell entered the league as an older prospect, nearly 24 years old already as a rookie. So, certainly not a deal breaker on his value or even a detriment at all right now. But as I said, worth considering. Matt, we have one more player to talk about, Sam Laporta, the tight end, off to a really good start. We will finish up our rookie conversation with Sam Laporta. We'll do that next.
Guys, I've been telling you about Prize Picks for a while now, and frankly, I've been cleaning up on it. And I love that you can pick between 2 and 6 players. It's not a set format where you have to just say, I got 3, I got 4. And you don't play against other people out there. You don't play against ringers and sharks. All you do is just pick more or less on those 2 to 6 player stat projections. And I've been watching the winnings roll right in. And Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. And they're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. Like I said, it's just you against the numbers. It's super easy to use too. It's really simple to play. I make my picks and submit my entry in like 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. As importantly, you get quick, easy withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. They also have weekly promotions that lead to league playouts like Taco Tuesday. So every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So again, I've been doing really well with them. Every week I've been really into Prize Picks. So what we need you to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Again, use our code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100.
Let's finish up our rookie watch discussion, Matt, with Sam Laporta. Laporta is the tight end 2 through 3 weeks. He's been a tight end 1, a top 12 scoring tight end in all 3 games so far this year. That includes all 3 actually as a top 8 scorer. I had to look at our guy, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has been a top 8 fantasy scorer. I tweeted this. You might have seen it. Kyle Pitts has been a top 8 fantasy scorer 5 times in his career. Sam Laporta's now done that 3 times in just 3 weeks. So there you go. Laporta was the tight end 1 overall last week with a big game. And you look back at his September ADP, Matt, tight end 11, which felt kind of aggressive at the time, preseason, already ranking him in that tight end 1 range. He was 112 overall in our 1 quarterback DLF Dynasty ADP. I mean, what are we doing with this guy, Matt? How high is he going to end up?
Oh, I'm jumping all in. I mean,
yeah.
So Hawkinson is the only Hawkeye is the only tight end that has more targets than him this year. I mean, he's already got 22 targets, and obviously Kelsey missed a game, but the usage is tremendous. I was really worried about the Lions in terms of who's going to catch passes here besides St. Brown, and even if Jameson Williams comes back, he's such a different style of player, or if Gibbs's target share goes up, I don't think it's going to matter. He's really good, and they're scheming him up well in a good system, a quality quarterback. I guess that's the question, is just how high are we going to push him? But in terms of just even redraft already, and everyone knows the golden rule, you can't, rookie tight ends don't do anything. I'm starting to not believe that anymore, by the way. He's a top 5 guy, I think, right now in terms of just, redraft.
Well, he was behind Evan Ingram in September. Ingram off to a good start as well. I think Ingram has been a tight end 1 in all 3 games also, so he's playing well. But I mean, you're talking about a 7-year age difference here. We want Laporta over Ingram.
Yep.
Your guy up in Pittsburgh, not off to such a great start. Pat Freiermuth, certainly I would think taking Laporta over him. I am at least.
Oh yeah.
Gets interesting, somewhat interesting at tight end 8, because that's where we find Dalton Kincaid. I'm ready to rank Laporta over Kincaid. What about you?
Yes, I am.
Right.
Yes.
We get some veterans here. Darren Waller, tight end 7. Dallas Goedert, tight end 6. And George Kittle, tight end 5. Is he going above all 3 of those guys?
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm a big Goddard believer, but the usage is way different.
Yep, I'm taking Laporta there as well. So we're putting him at least as a top 5 tight end. So now we're talking Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, and Hawkinson, along with Laporta as the 5 guys. What does that order look like for you? And do you think there's a chance Laporta could move all the way up to tight end 1 because of his age?
So I knew about the target thing because I just retweeted something from Lindsey Jones, and this is more of a Pitts thing than a Laporta thing, but I might rather have Laporta than Pitts for this reason, because we've all been down this line. Like Kittle has 18 targets, Henry is 18, Pitts has 17, and all these guys in the top 10 tight end targets have a catchable target percentage of 80% or better. Like Laporta's at 82, Ingram's at 95%, Pitts is at 53. It doesn't even matter what he does. I mean, my son and I have this running joke. We watch Red Zone, we watch, football all day Sunday, and we both owned him on our fantasy teams. And it's like, okay, there he is, wide open, 40 yards downfield, and they throw it in the seats. I don't know what to do with Pitts anymore. Is he just the most unlucky human being in the world in the worst situation, or what?
Well, I mean, I don't think very much of this is Kyle Pitts' fault.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
That doesn't change. That doesn't change the reality of what we're dealing with. And you can tell me it's the quarterback or the coaching staff or the offensive scheme or whatever. None of that really matters. He's still not producing. I do still like him long-term. I think he'll be great. I think he'll eventually return to being the dynasty tight end 1. But right now, I want Sam Laporta. And I don't think it's really much of a conversation. I think it's more of a conversation, Laporta versus Kelsey, Andrews, and Hawkinson. And honestly, Mark Andrews isn't off to that great of a start either.
No, he really isn't. And I'm not sure the new offense in Baltimore is going to be nearly as Mark Andrews friendly as it used to be.
So I think we're looking in October at Sam Laporta at worst as the tight end 4, and honestly, maybe as high as tight end 1 potentially.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
That is going to do it for today's show. Please make sure you download and subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Remember to follow the show at Locked On Dynasty. Follow Matt at Williamson NFL, and I'm Ryan, MC23. We'll be back next time with more Locked On Dynasty.